They call me Mouse. I never chose that name. I didn't even earn it. It just landed. Like dust. Like a whisper behind my back in the 6th grade that somehow stuck to my skin all the way into year 11. And like most nicknames born from cruelty, it said more about them than it did about me. They thought I was too quiet, too careful, too slow to speak, and too fast to blush. I wasn't one of them. Not loud enough, not glossy enough, not important enough. But what they never asked, the question they never thought to consider, was what I was watching while they were laughing. Because I was always watching, observing, listening, calculating, silently collecting data while they mistook my stillness for weakness. It started, as things like this usually do, in the corridor outside the chemistry lab. Olivia Monroe, flanked by her identical orbiting satellites, Lexi and Tamsin, blocked the hallway like royalty mistaking the school for their kingdom. "You dropped something," Olivia said, bending with exaggerated care to pick up my notebook, flipping through pages she didn't understand. "What is this? Hieroglyphics?" "It's calculus," I said flatly. "Wow, you really do this for fun?" Lexi peered over her shoulder. "Wait, are those integrals? She's like doing advanced nerd." Olivia smirked. "Yeah, well, at least you'll die a virgin with a calculator." I didn't flinch. I didn't need to. They wanted a reaction. They always do. When silence makes them uncomfortable, they fill it with cruelty. That day I said nothing, but something shifted in me. It was small, like the click of a lock turning. And just like that, I was done being small for their comfort. That afternoon, I sat in the back row of advanced physics. Mr. Kellerman, white hair like storm clouds, voice like gravel soaked in coffee, announced a challenge. "I've got something special for you lot," he said, eyes glinting. "It's a real-world application problem, one that stumped engineers, physicists, even a few graduate students I know. You solve it? I'll write you a recommendation letter that'll open doors. NASA, MIT, Cambridge, your pick." He turned to the board and started writing. The problem sprawled out like a secret language, looping across lines and folding into itself with chaotic precision. Partial differential equations, thermodynamics, boundary conditions. It was beautiful. Half the class slumped in despair by the second line. Olivia leaned over to whisper to Tamsin, "NASA? Seriously? What is this, a Marvel movie?" I copied the problem down slowly, feeling the thrill rise in my chest like a tide. This wasn't homework. This was a riddle wrapped in a dare. I knew I could crack it. Not immediately, but eventually. That night, I sat at my desk until my spine ached and my eyes blurred. The numbers twisted and snarled like a knot I couldn't quite undo. Somewhere around midnight, I got up to refill my tea and found my mum asleep at the table, bills scattered like confetti. I covered her with a blanket. Whispered, "It's okay. I've got this." I wasn't just solving this to prove a point to Olivia. I was solving it for me. For the girl who stayed late to clean whiteboards because she didn't want to go home. For the version of myself who once cried in a toilet stall because someone snapped her ruler in half and called her wallflower waste. The next day, Olivia was louder than usual. She strutted into class and handed Mr. Kellerman a single sheet of paper. "Solved it," she said, smiling like she'd just won a Nobel. I saw the scribbles. She'd clearly Googled a solution and Frankensteined it together. Mr. Kellerman raised an eyebrow but said nothing. He simply slid the paper into his folder and moved on. I waited until after class, walked up, quiet, calm. "Sir," I said, "I think I have a partial solution." He looked at my notebook. His expression didn't change, but I noticed the way he paused, how he read it twice. "Interesting approach," he murmured. "Recursive modeling using fluid dynamics. You see the Navier-Stokes analogy?" I nodded. "I think the key's in the symmetry." "You might be right," he said slowly. "Let me run it through my software." I left before Olivia could corner me. I knew it would come later. It always did. By lunch, the whispers had started. "Mouse thinks she's Einstein now," someone said. "She probably just copied it off some forum." But that was the funny thing about numbers. They don't care who you are. They don't need you to be liked, or pretty, or popular. Just accurate. Over the next few days, I buried myself in the math. Layers of equations unfolded like petals. I stayed up past 3 a.m., scribbling ideas on sticky notes, walls, even my mirror. My room looked like the inside of a conspiracy theory. On Thursday, I had it. Not the whole solution, but the heart of it. I found the symmetry hidden in the chaos, a back door around the unsolvable section using pressure dynamics and temperature differentials. It wasn't perfect, but it was elegant, clean. I submitted it quietly. Mr. Kellerman nodded once, like he'd been expecting me. "I'll let you know," he said. That night, the school Wi-Fi crashed. Someone flooded the server with nonsense files. The next morning, my submission had disappeared from the shared drive. Olivia acted shocked. "That's awful," she said with an exaggerated pout. "Maybe Mouse forgot to hit save." That was her mistake. Assuming I was naive enough to rely on a single copy, I printed a hard version and handed it in again. This time with annotations, visual models, and references. Mr. Kellerman said nothing, but his eyes burned like headlights in the dark. The following Monday, the school held an assembly. Nobody knew why. The hall buzzed with rumors, fire drills, exam changes, or worse, a surprise musical number. But then Principal Hampton walked up to the mic with an awkward smile. "Good morning. We've got a special announcement. One of our students recently submitted a mathematics solution to a challenge posed in class. That solution was forwarded, without the student's knowledge, to a professional contact at NASA." Murmurs, gasps. Olivia's smirk faltered. "NASA reviewed the submission and contacted us last night. They asked to speak directly with the student, and possibly offer an internship." A silence fell like a dropped pin. "Emily Grant," the principal said. "Would you join us on stage?" I didn't move right away. My ears rang. My knees felt like soggy toast. But slowly, I walked forward, one foot after the other. Past Olivia, past Lexi, past every person who'd ever told me I was too quiet to lead. The auditorium erupted in applause, some of it forced, some of it stunned. A few genuine. Olivia looked like she'd just swallowed a light bulb. "Emily's work," the principal continued, "revealed a novel approach to a heat shield simulation problem involving turbulent flow dynamics. NASA's team called it a solution with profound implications." I took the mic. My voice shook, but I spoke clearly. I didn't solve this to impress anyone. I solved it because I saw something beautiful, and I followed it. When I walked off stage, Olivia tried to intercept me. "You think this changes everything?" she hissed. "No," I said. "I know it does." I kept walking. A week later, I had a virtual meeting with the NASA team. One of the engineers asked if I'd ever considered applying to their internship program. I laughed. I didn't even know I could. "You can now," he said. My mom framed the letter. The parrot started yelling, "To Mars," every time the kettle boiled. At school, people looked at me differently. Not better, just clearer. Like I'd been there all along, and they were finally seeing me in focus. And Olivia? She doesn't call me Mouse anymore. Mostly because she doesn't call me anything at all. That's fine. I never needed her voice to find mine. And if you're wondering, no, I don't think I'm special. I think I'm proof. Proof that silence isn't absence. That being quiet doesn't mean being weak. Sometimes it means you're listening harder, seeing more, preparing for your moment. And when that moment comes, you don't raise your voice, you raise the bar.